And there she is, always with her cosplay on the air with me right now. How's it going?
Hello, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show this evening. I truly appreciate
Thanks for having me.
it. Absolutely. So how did you get started into being a cosplayer?
And so, let's see, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I went to my first little Comic-Con, and I had just gotten into Doctor Who, and so I said, well, I fancy dressing like one of the doctors, so I dressed as a Femme 11, and then I started going to more and more cons and trying to meet the people from Doctor Who, and I got to the point where I finally got to meet David Tennant. And I went to get my photo with him, and he said, oh, hello, River. And I said, well, hello, and quite nervously, of course. And he said, well, you always River. And so hence the name, and it just kind of stuck. And so I've been doing River ever since.
That's very interesting. Especially not only that you got into it, but you got a name fresh out the bat. And just
Right,
really,
from David Tennant, no less.
so that's pretty cool. So I hear that you are a part of a cosplaying group. I think it's called the Ohio River Cosplay.
Yes,
Um,
it's the Ohio River Valley Cosplayers,
River Valley, yes.
and we go by orcs. So yes, shout out to orcs out there. There's quite a few of us.
I'm very familiar with them. I have interviewed fellow cosplayers from the group. I first heard of them through Lexington Comic and Toy Convention last year.
Oh, fantastic.
I was there. I think I was at their booth for Friday of that weekend, and that's how I started networking with them and doing interviews and stuff. So for people that may not be familiar with the Orcs, talk about the group in particular. What are they all about, and their involvement with conventions and stuff.
Absolutely. So, a cute boy named Ryan started the group, and I think he just, found of us were looking for other people that had the same interests, but we didn't really have a community. So he's really given us a sense of community and even more so a family where we go to these conventions and we know we're going to know other people. And if we need help, say we're falling apart at the seams, sometimes literally, we can go to them and other people can go to them and they're more than willing to help. So they're very helpful, and if you're working on a cosplay, they like to give advice, and we welcome anyone, even if you're not in the Ohio River Valley. We have people as far as Virginia in our online group, and so even when we travel, say, to Dragon Con in Atlanta, then we still have that sense of community and family wherever we go.
And I love communities like Orcs. A group of people, similar interests, always have something different as far as costumes and stuff, and very friendly as well. Cosplay community can get a bad rap at times, but
It can, and that's the most important thing that I found within the Orcs is that we all support one another, even if we're doing the same characters. We're not competing against one another, we're supporting one another. And so I've made some very close friends through them, and we swap off bits and pieces at times, especially for contests, and we root for one another. We don't hope that we'll be better or whatever.
so as far as conventions, Lexington Comic and Toy Convention is coming up less than 2 weeks from now, and
Yes, it is.
I'll be there.
So sorry, go ahead.
I'll be there for all 3 days, and
That's wonderful.
and I hear that Orcs will be there as well.
they will be representing, and they will be in the same booth that they were in last year. So you'll be able to find them quite easily. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it this time round, but I do have lots of other things coming up. So not to worry, I'll be out.
Okay, well, I guess I'll see you down the road, I guess. If not the Lexington one, then somewhere within the area of Kentucky at least.
Yes, I have 3 slotted for this year for the Louisville area, and then one in Chicago, one in Nashville, and one in Cincinnati. But I'll be a cosplay guest at all of these. So
That's awesome. So,
yeah.
in addition, now what are some of the cosplay that you are known for? Or in this case, what are some of your favorite costumes that you like to dress up going to conventions?
Well, obviously River Song is my favorite, and she's my favorite character. I've stacked up about 23 different outfits of hers to date over the past 4 years. So she's definitely the one I've put the most work into. But I'm also a big horror buff. So I've started to branch out, and I'm currently working on a pin-up Negan from The Walking Dead. And I recently got a Judge's Choice Award for my Live More from iZombie. And that award was given by the Orcs at Vet City Con in Bowling Green in January. And I'm working on Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange, and a female Punisher, and I'm thinking about a female Lucifer from the series based off of the Neil Gaiman comic. So I like to do the gender bends, and I like comic book characters quite a lot as well.
That's awesome. I know I love cosplay. I don't dress up per se, but I like going to conventions to meet with the guests and everything. I like to see the outfits and how it's all put together, and just the hard work and dedication that it takes for people to put these costumes together. And I've talked to a lot of cosplayers throughout the years of going through conventions. It could be a lot of work, and a lot of money.
It is a lot of work, and yes, sometimes a lot of money. Sometimes we luck out and we can pull bits from our closets and put something together and it magically works. But most of the time we're scouring thrift stores. A lot of us, myself not included, make things absolutely from scratch by hand and stitch every stitch and sew every button. I am not one of those that has that sort of time, so I have to get creative. I research a lot of screenshots from the television shows and try to find fabrics that are as similar as I can, and style, know all the names for the different cuts and whatnot, and I just try and do my best as far as matching what you see on the screen to what I put on. So it's a hodgepodge of things usually. And I've spent many an hour sitting at my kitchen table gluing things together and cutting them and all sorts of things.
And I got huge respect to all the cosplayers that do this for love of it, that do this for fun, and more importantly enjoying doing it. And so shout out to all the cosplayers out there. Shout out to the Orcs. Very good people. Shout out to Ryan too. Very good. I may have talked to him a couple times in the past. Very good guy. So as far as 2018, you mentioned some of the cities that you're going to be going to for conventions in 2000. So why don't you go ahead and talk about all the conventions that you plan to go to in the coming months?
Love to. So next coming up is Conglomeration, and that's the last in March, so Easter weekend. and that's right here in Louisville. And it's a primarily sci-fi convention, so I'll be doing River Song all 3 days there, and I've got lined up as far as cosplay tips. I'll be doing some interviews with assembling cosplays and whatnot. So I'm very involved in that one. And then the weekend next, I'm going to walk us the Heroes. It's 2 cons put together in Chicago, April 7th and 8th. And that's where I'll bring out my alter ego, always a cosplay, what I named my horror one. So I'll be doing some Negan and probably a Felicity from Arrow, and Dark Saints will be there. So I've probably put something together for them. Heroes and Villains in Nashville, May the 12th and 13th. I don't know what I've got planned for that yet. And I just got added as a guest for Cincinnati Comic Expo, and that's in September, the 14th through the 16th. I'm very excited about that. It's a very favorite con locally, and the Orcs always been involved in that one as well. And so I'll be doing some panels of there as well. And Imaginarium is in October, the 5th and the 6th. That's here in Louisville, the same place that Conglomeration is held. And it's more of a combination of all things fandom. So there'll be lots of authors and artists and cosplayers and gaming, all sorts of things. And I'll not only be a cosplay guest, but I'll be a poet guest as well, because I do that when I'm not doing this. So, and then Louisville SuperCon will be here the last weekend in November, the 30th. So that's a new con that's coming to our area, and I've heard very good things about that, and they've worked hard to get me on the roster there, so I'm excited about going there for the first time.
Cosplayer and a poet. That's quite a combination. Yeah. And you do have a very poetic type of voice, so that's a good look right there.
Well, of course, I'm in character for tonight, but, you know, that's what I like to fully immerse myself in my character, so I try to take on the complete character, not just what I'm wearing, and put myself in the mindset. And I found that when you're taking photos, you know, that shows through. That shows that you really embodied who you are, whether you're Poison Ivy or Spider-Man or whoever. If you can just think of yourself as that character, then that just improves the cosplay, makes it so much more fun.
Absolutely true, for sure. Before I let you go, why don't you go ahead and let people know about your social media feeds as far as people keeping up with your cosplay work and upcoming convention appearances, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any other links people need to know.
Absolutely. I'm on all the things, and on Facebook you can find me as Always River Cosplay. And on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, I'm at Always River 11, because 11 is my doctor. So I post quite a lot and try and keep my next conventions current on there, and I post works in progress photos, and try to do as much live from conventions as I can. So I try and do some Facebook Live. Haven't got into the Snapchat, but I'll work on that one. And I do a blog as well, and it's alwaysriver.blogspot.com, and blogs after I've attended to tell everyone about the adventures that I've had.
It was great chatting with you. Thank you so much for being on this evening. Continued success. And again, shout out to the Orcs,
Yes.
Ohio River Valley cosplayers. They are on